Here's our journey of three friends who started off as colleagues.
Respect, both professionally and personally. Colleagues who are respected in both their everyday work and as people who are just honest, straightforward, and supportive. Jen and Kristen are the people you want to be surrounded by, and I did just that as the newbie on the block. They push you to do better professionally, and they just make you want to be a better friend.
You know that phrase, whatever happens in Vegas? Jen and Lauren are my Vegas friends, free of judgment and grounded in trust.
When I think about Kristen and Lauren, there are moments in time that stand still, and maybe not in the moment, but when reflecting, I knew that we'd be friends. Enjoying them both professionally and personally makes it fun to go to work every day. We are Jen,
Kristen,
and Lauren, and we found each other to be a breath of fresh air.
Hello, and welcome to Breath of Fresh Ed, a podcast with purpose focused on education topics for today, tomorrow, and always, with Kristen,
Jen,
and Lauren. So thanks for joining us for episode 1, The Eye of the Storm. As educators, we've all had those high stress moments, days, or even weeks related to distance learning during the COVID-19 pandemic. So finding ways to address those moments and trends has really been key to continuing the productivity for both teachers and our students. We want to take this episode to share our struggles and how we've found ways to create healthier, more productive days. So connect and reflect with us as we navigate our 3 personal experiences. So I'll go ahead and start off. Reflecting about 3 weeks ago, there were a period of days that really just seemed to never end for me. It's when we first moved to distance learning, and with my role, I support teachers with technology. So the emails were rolling in. I woke up one morning to 100 emails overnight. It was unbelievable.
So what did you do about that? Were they like fires and super important for you, or were they fires and important for them, or both?
First look, I was like, oh my gosh, every single thing was a fire. It seemed like every single thing was a fire at first glance. They were all from different people. It was panic language. People needed help with this. They needed me to send them a tutorial on how to do this because they were preparing these resources that were pretty high tech for their students that were beginning the next day. So first glance, yeah, everything seemed like a fire. But as I, went through them, I started to, by day 2, delegating things that could be put off, or, finding other people, delegating things to other supports that could also help with some of this.
Did you notice people had common problems, or was it just all different?
Yeah, for some of them, for sure. I did start noticing those trends. So, an easy way for me was to create a canned response in Gmail so that I could just copy and paste the same problem. And I'll give you an example. The Zoom security issues were crazy in the beginning. So just reassuring people that, we had certain, settings in place to keep our students safe was huge. So yeah, that was definitely one plus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Maybe I'll have to take a page from your book, Lauren.
So since this was a little bit ago, how have you had the same problem since, or how did you, if people still had questions like that?
Yeah. So actually, Jen, you definitely helped me with this. You shared a resource with our team a couple months back. It was Stephen Covey's productivity quadrants. So shout out. It's all about managing yourself rather than managing your time. So you've got 4 quadrants, and basically you are deciding what's important, what's urgent. Are they both, one, the other? And really deciding, spending most of my time in quadrant 1, the actual fires, is not healthy. So really finding what can fit in other pieces. Certain things might be important, but not urgent right now. That's mainly what you want to spend your time in. but that quadrant really like visually dividing up my responsibilities and all of the issues I was addressing, that helped me in the long run. And, it's something I'm using now, and it's something I'm noticing more and more people are using. I actually just saw a post on Twitter the other day of another educator using it.
Yeah. That reminds me of my eye of the storm, which was 2 weeks ago. And I had such a rough week. And actually, I don't even think I realized it until Jen, you brought it up. Because I must have mentioned it in a couple of meetings we were in. But I think every day was just filled with meetings, and I had no time to do the actual work. And so I found like I was up late at night after the girls were going to bed doing some work, but I just know that that's not sustainable. And we don't know how long this is going to last, but I needed to figure something out. But I was definitely in the weeds for sure.
Did you have to be at all? Sorry, Lauren.
Oh, go ahead.
Did you have to be at every meeting that was on your calendar, or like were they like ones that you put on for people?
You know what? To be honest, I don't know. Looking back on it, probably not. But in that moment, like when we were just trying to navigate like what this was going to look like, I felt like I had to take that like all hands on deck mentality and like just be there and support people. And somewhere along the lines, I forgot to support myself, I think, in that. And in the work and just trying to be like effective and productive for everybody else. So, I did start like blocking time for myself to get work done and to allow myself to like for my brain to transition and even just quite frankly take a lunch because I wasn't even doing that, and it was kind of insane. So I had to come to the realization that it's okay to take time for yourself, whether it's to get work done, whether it's to eat a lunch or just allow your brain to transition. But it was hard because you just know that the teachers and the people that we're supporting are also stressed. And so you want to help support, them in their roles. And as coaches, that is our job. So it just was a hard realization to come to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, so mine kind of piggybacks off yours, Chris. In meetings that I was in, there were times where like I shared, whether it be like my opinion or some feedback, and I just wasn't feeling productive. Like I felt that, I don't know if people weren't hearing what I was saying, if I wasn't being clear or articulate, because maybe I was tired from sitting, in front of this so much screen time I'm not used to. But I felt like people were sometimes being like defensive when I shared, like when they asked for my thoughts and I shared them. I felt that I was kind of met with like resistance. So I was trying to navigate that last week.
That kind of reminds me of like that learning forward session I went to, garnering feedback on your feedback from Thomas von Zulin, one of our favorite educators. How he was talking about like using conditional statements to provide feedback. So that takes the personal piece out of it, but then it just fosters reflection.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a good idea. I think maybe next week I'll try those. Like more of the like I seem, it appears. So it's not because it's not about me. It's not, I mean, when people are asking for my opinion, they're probably just asking for feedback on the situation. It makes me need to go back to some of those like coaching stems and just going back to the heart of coaching and questioning. Like a lot of the stuff that we do, learn it from learning forward.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good idea. And isn't our job too as coaches to like, someone said this once, I think it was at my first Learning Forward session or conference I ever went to in 2013. Someone said that the job and role of a coach is, you're successful when the coachee walks away and continues reflecting on the conversations that you had.
Yeah.
So I think
like you three do to me every time. You know what I mean?
Same.
No, I feel like so much of that is coming back right now. We've got to go back to, what we know and the basics of navigating this, because it's very different than what we're used to.
I agree. So we would like to pause and ask you to think about, how are you navigating the eye of the storm during this time? What is your breath of fresh ed? Share your comments on breathofFreshEd.com or use the hashtag breathofFreshEd.